ask that you please hold all questions and comments to the very end. Thank you. So about 21 years ago, my tia immigrated from Mexico to the United States with 3 of her 5 children. Unfortunately, they didn't come here legally, so they didn't have the opportunity to have the same rights as we do. They didn't have Social Security. They weren't able to go to school, to college, without paying a huge price by being an international student. So fortunately, my cousin got DACA, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Hello, St. Edward students. My name is Carolina Avila. I am a volunteer at the Equal Justice Center here in Austin, and I'm here to talk to you today why y'all should come out and help and volunteer here at this nonprofit organization. So to do this, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of what the Equal Justice Center is, who they serve here in the Austin community, and some of the advantages that they have over a very similar organization here in Austin as well. So to begin, according to the Equal Justice Center website, they are a nonprofit law firm, an employment justice organization which empowers low-income families, workers, and communities to achieve fair treatment in the workplace, in the justice system, and our shared society, regardless of immigration status. This is very similar to their mission statement, which you can look at on your handout at the top right-hand corner. It's basically a similar thing. They work to help everyone as much as they can, no matter who they are or if they don't have any money. At my time there, I've witnessed a lot of people who don't have the necessary resources to pay for legal services, and the great thing about the Equal Justice Center is that they try to create the services to be free or at a very reduced price, which I think is awesome. The only thing that they have to pay is for their application fee to be sent in. So it's very affordable because DACA can be very expensive. If you have a private attorney, it can go up to $1,000+ just to try to get that fixed. So it's really great. So a little bit about the organization. They have 2 sections within their law firm. One of them is the workers' rights, which they deal with helping people who have been discriminated at work, or if they aren't paid the necessary amount of money for the work they have done. The other part of it is DACA, which is the immigration section, which I worked in, and I love very dearly. So I'm going to explain to you what DACA is. It's the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. There was a executive order put in by President Obama back in 2012 so that it allows undocumented young students and graduates who grew up in the United States to obtain temporary residency, and they are able to work here by getting a work permit, and they also get a Social Security card, so they're safe from deportation for at least 2 years, which I think is very admirable. And especially since I have very close connection with it, just because I have friends and family who do have DACA. So I know for sure that it's very, very beneficial. They can work here, they can study, which I think is super important because most of the children that come here have only lived here their entire lives. They've come here from 1, 2 to 3 years old, they don't know anything else. So I think it's really great that President Obama tried to implement that through this DACA Act. So there are 3 different offices all over Texas. There's one here in Austin, which I worked at. There's one in Dallas, and there's one in San Antonio. And they all do the same thing. According to the Pew Research Center, about 4 million undocumented immigrants are eligible for DACA, but they're really scared, that they're going to be deported or that they're going to be separated from their family, so they don't, out of fear, they don't apply for it. So what the Equal Justice Center tries to do is make it a very safe space and welcome everyone to come and apply, and which I think is great. So they serve thousands of people year-round through these 3 offices, which is wonderful. So as I said, they do help immigrants. They do help initials, which is people who are who are applying for DACA for the first time, and they also serve renewals for the people who are applying for the 2nd or 3rd or 4th time. So they help everyone as much as they can. And so, of course, like I told you, they are a nonprofit, so they try to make it as cheap as possible for you to get this immigration relief, which is great. So what do you do as a volunteer at the Equal Justice Center? At the Equal Justice Center, you do intakes, which is you talk to the people who are interested in DACA or renewing their DACA. You ask them some basic questions like, where they born, what's their name, all that type of stuff, and you ask different questions like to see if they meet the requirements. So that's what you do, and it's really awesome because you get to hear their stories, you get to hear where they're from, how they've progressed from where they came and like where they are now and how important that is. So it's wonderful. And you also, like I said, you get to hear their stories, and you also get to learn more about their legal system, which I think is so cool, especially since I want to be an immigration lawyer. It was a great opportunity for me to get hands-on work, and if you're definitely interested in that, it's a great opportunity. And even if you're not, you get to learn more about the justice system that we have here. And that's one of the advantages that we have over at Catholic Charities, which is our counterpart organization. At Catholic Charities, as you can see on your brochure, you can see the different things that you need to have in order to go and volunteer there. First, you need to go to a CC 101, which is where you go into what kind of programs you want. You go to the EIM, which is a Ethics and Integrity in Ministry certification. Then you have to apply, then you have to get an interview, and then then you get to volunteer. So at the Equal Justice Center, you just contact Joanna or Ashley, who I listed their emails on there, and then you go to a 1.5 hour training, and then you are able to volunteer, which is so great. So in conclusion, I talked about why the Equal Justice Center is a great nonprofit organization that helps people regardless of immigration status. And I talked about what you do there, which is talk to people, take intake. And then lastly, I talked about the advantages of it and how it's much easier to work there instead of Catholic Charities. And my vision for the future is that Equal Justice Center opens up more offices across Texas and maybe even over the United States, and that we have as many volunteers as possible to help them accomplish this. So thank you so much. Do you have any questions?